And good morning. On Thursday, November 9th, it's episode 314 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG and I'm sick, which means you get treated to a severe case of sexy voice, which is appropriate because today Alfred Ng and Roger Cheng are talking about nudes.
Hey, this is my sexy voice.
There we go. I'm not even gonna try the sexy voice.
Come on.
You couldn't handle my sexy voice.
I'm not trying, for the record. I just have a severe case of the plague.
So we'll be talking about Facebook's odd request for your nudes and why there's a noble reason behind it. We're going to talk about Equifax and Yahoo again.
Obviously.
Equifax and Yahoo appearing before Congress. Alfred listened in on the hearing. He can give us all the details. And lastly, at&t's deal to buy Time Warner may be in jeopardy. The DOJ is asking for a specific divestiture to get the deal closed. As always, if you have any questions on these topics, leave them in the comment section. Brian will get to the best. I will try to answer them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
Well, not the questions.
I want to correct your semantics on that. When you say we're going to answer them in 3
All right, fine.
Podcast is
we
in
will
3
get to them in 3
After
minutes and 59 seconds.
And we will spend a greater amount of time answering them than that.
Maybe. I don't know.
Hopefully.
If we don't just stop.
Anyways, thanks for sticking around. We're going to record the podcast, and we will be back and see you in the chat in 3 minutes and 59 seconds from 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Facebook wants your nudes. But wait, hear me out on this one. The social network wants to make sure your nude photos won't be used for revenge porn, so it's asking people to proactively send them in via Messenger. The company will then convert those photos into lines of code, so it'll block the image from ever appearing on the site. Alfred, are you going to be sending your nudes to Facebook?
I mean, I send my nudes to Facebook anyway, just to get them to look at it. What do you guys think? Where can I improve on?
I feel like this is very much a Silicon Valley solution to this problem. Like, send us your nudes so we can create a vast database.
It's very
nudes.
It's very robotic, like minded, where it's just we'll just get rid of nude photos with you just give us the nude photos and one person will look at them.
And reportedly, I mean at Facebook, someone will have to look at these nude photos to verify that they are indeed nudes that need to be included in the database.
So if you think that, no one's going to see my nude photos, no, someone at Facebook is still going to see them, which means that there's a paying job out there for somebody to just look at naked photos all day.
I have to wonder how you even request or how do you even apply for that job?
Yeah, I do think.
What are your qualifications?
I've seen so many nude photos in my time. I do think it's a noble cause. I think, revenge porn is clearly a major issue for them.
For sure.
But, Facebook already has, algorithms that search for things like nipples or, penises on there, like being uploaded in general.
Right.
So I don't think they need your photo specifically to block that.
Yeah, I can't imagine this being very popular. Just to be clear, this is a trial in Australia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not national. Like here in the U.S., we're not sending our nudes to Facebook yet.
Unless you're into it.
Yeah, unless that's your thing. All right, so executives from Yahoo and Equifax appeared before Congress yesterday to, again, answer for their respective hacks. And as a reminder, Yahoo suffered the largest attack in history, losing 3 billion accounts, and Equifax arguably topped Yahoo by losing 143 million social security numbers. So, Alfred, you listened to the hearing. What went on?
I think the biggest takeaway was, they really still don't know what had hit them. To be fair, this was Marissa Mayer's first public appearance to Congress, like after it had been revealed, the 3 billion number had been revealed.
Right.
And she started off, apologizing, saying, I'm really sorry. I want to personally apologize to all of our users affected, which is all 3 billion of them.
Right.
That's a lot of sorries you're going to have to hand out. But, she said, we still don't know how the hack was caused. The same thing can be said for Equifax when they're talking about, a lot of the names and social security numbers weren't encrypted in the first place because they thought that their firewalls were enough. Spoiler alert, they weren't. But when they asked the current CEO, he basically said, I don't know if they're encrypted now. So it could still be unencrypted. So it's basically, we're sorry, but we actually haven't done anything to kind of get at the root of this problem.
Yeah, that's very, very disconcerting. The at&t Time Warner deal may be in jeopardy. The Justice Department reportedly wants at&t to divest CNN and possibly the broader Turner Broadcasting properties to close the Time Warner acquisition. Now, this comes after President Donald Trump has railed against CNN, calling it fake news, leading many to wonder whether he's got some sort of influence over the DOJ with this.
I mean, it definitely does seem to be something coming from the White House on this because I've not heard of the DOJ commenting on deals like this. Usually it comes up with something with Congress, right?
Well, the DOJ will come out with a request for divestitures. Actually, that's pretty normal, but the fact that this is so specific has people scratching their heads.
Was it CNN specifically, or was it Turner Broadcasting, which owns?
So
CNN?
there are some conflicting reports. There was a request for AT&T to either divest DirecTV or the Turner Broadcasting companies. CNN was a major part of that, but as far as I can tell, AT&T has said no. But there's still a lot of questions. The Justice Department still hasn't commented on this officially. AT&T did talk about this yesterday. Said they never offered CNN up as an asset for divestiture, nor would they. But that could just be tough talk. All right, so that's all the time we have for those stories and more. Check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Cheng.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for listening.
Love that song.
Damn it. All right, thanks everybody for joining us. The podcast is concluded. I'm going to go ahead and start digging through the comments section for some good questions and fodder for us to continue to discuss. And right out the gate, Lost Legacy has the elephant in the room. What's to stop someone from hacking Facebook and leaking everyone's nudes?
Yeah,
that is the $1 million question here.
Right.
Facebook does have a very robust security team. I think there's a reason why after being such a massive target, with all these people on Facebook, that it still hasn't really, there hasn't been any kind of major leak or anything like that from like Facebook's database itself.
Right.
That being said, so these nudes, they're not storing these nudes in their database as like the photos themselves.
Right.
So they're converting it into basically code, and then if somebody else tries to upload that image, that code can match up against that image and then like block it from being uploaded in the first place.
Right. But I mean, theoretically, couldn't you take that code and reverse engineer it into an image?
I would have to assume that Facebook is a smart company when it comes to security, and these codes would be encrypted, that somebody only on Facebook would be able to access it. That being said, though, that's me assuming that they are a smart company.
Right. And we can't assume that anymore.
Encrypts their
We
stuff.
cannot assume that with any company
because
nowadays.
Equifax had all this important data and it wasn't
and
encrypted.
we all kind of assumed they were a pretty competent company. That's the company you go to when you lose all your data because they monitor your credit. And that did not turn out so well for anybody.
No.
You know what would be crazy though if because this whole thing is to stop revenge porn, right?
Yep.
So like images that only the people you send it to are supposed to see. What if somebody at Facebook wanted to have revenge on Facebook and then leaked all
I know
that?
that
It's like
is-
revenge on revenge porn.
Now, think about it,
like
too.
a terrible last day, right?
That's not too far off considering what that Twitter
What happened with
employee
Twitter.
just did and the
Absolutely.
Donald Trump account.
Absolutely.
It's like the revenge porn to end all revenge porn.
Yeah, just all of a sudden. And really, this only affects photos that you have. It doesn't, you have no control over
Yeah, you're the
photos
one that has to
taken
upload
from
it
somebody
to
else's
them. Yeah.
phone. Right.
Yep.
So, yeah, there are a lot of holes in this. Like I said at the beginning, this seems like a very tech solution, a Silicon Valley driven solution to a real problem, a legitimate problem. I'm sure there are other ways that we can do this without having to offer up our nudes.
Let's talk a little bit about these court dealings we've been encountering as of late.
Yeah.
I have thoroughly enjoyed watching Congress truly put the screws to some of these, I'm going to go ahead and say, irresponsible corporations in their practices. Now, do I know how to run a giant media company? No, obviously not. I'm here pushing the buttons for another one. But as far as the responsibility at hand, there's a lot of people that should be held accountable and should be punished, frankly, with all of these massive security leaks and social security issues. And I'm sitting here with my popcorn watching these court cases unfold, and I'm loving every second of it.
Well, they're not court cases.
Yeah, they're just congressional hearings.
You're right. You know what I mean, though.
But that's the thing. It is cathartic to watch these companies get grilled, but ultimately nothing really ever gets happened.
Yeah, a lot of the times
No.
these hearings are really just public spankings.
They're for
if
show.
anything.
So the politicians can say, "Hey, look what I did."
It's like the modern
It's a
day.
tar and feathering.
It's the modern day equivalent of that people being locked up in the thing and people just throwing tomatoes at
The
them.
gallows.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
That's
thing.
still entertaining.
It is entertaining and it's a little satisfying, but it is frustrating because it seems like these companies aren't really facing
Consequences.
legitimate consequences.
There was a point during the hearing yesterday where one of the senators said, we're going to be having even more of these hearings in the future because there are going to be irresponsible companies out there. And unless we put in legislation that like imposes a fine or some kind of punishment for not having proper security in place, all we're going to get is an apology and more hearings.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a slap on the wrist.
That's a great point. Like there is no enforcement mechanism
No.
right now. So yeah.
But to be fair, though, I mean, in their defense, a lot of these companies make a good point where it's basically, why are we being punished for being victims of a crime kind of thing? But to be fair, the other argument is, well, you shouldn't have been more secure in the first place.
Right.
I guess the argument is also,
Right.
you know, doesn't matter how secure your company is, at one point or another, it's going to be hacked.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I think it comes down more to if the argument can ever be ignorance is no excuse. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. It absolutely applies here on a
if
grand
you're
scale.
egregiously irresponsible, like if you don't at least put certain, you know, protections in place, like I don't know,
the Equifax one in particular, which is egregious.
Yeah,
right?
like encrypting your, you know, files or updating patches when you were told to.
There should be stipulations in like contracts with the executives, like these CEOs. The CEO who departed, right? He left. Rick Smith.
Yeah.
He left with a huge pay package.
Yeah.
Like he should forfeit some of that.
Yeah.
Incompetence should be a factor in
Yeah.
this job, right? That's clearly.
I think if you've shown that like you've made an effort to protect your assets, then sure,
Right.
you know, you shouldn't be punished for being the victim
But
of
they
a crime.
did. That's the thing.
But
right?
in that scenario, when you haven't, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That is literally the definition of incompetence, right?
One correction, Leviathan points out that it was the stocks, not the gallows.
That's why I don't want to call them gallows, because don't they do hanging at gallows?
you're
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
All right. Now I don't feel that smart anymore. I
So,
feel kind of dumb now.
devil's advocate, we talk about these proceedings and hearings, and let's be honest, this is kind of the first we're ever getting into this. This is a new field, for lack of a better term, I guess. And maybe that's why these folks aren't getting immediately punished and there's no direct consequence, because we don't know what to do about it. What do we think is possibly the course of action in the future? Because now that we've kind of learned how to set these standards and the concept itself is starting to solidify, what could come in later years when these things inevitably happen again?
I think it's about imposing security standards to begin with, not imposing security standards after the fact, like punishment for being hit by a crime. You look at how like ATMs now all have the chips on them, right? Like, it's not the magnetic stripes anymore.
Nearly all of them, yeah.
Yeah, but that's because there was like a federal mandate where it was basically, if your store like doesn't have the chip feature for you know, credit cards or anything like that,
then you don't have the protection necessary.
No, you're liable.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
That get like
wrong perspective.
Yeah, that get their info stolen. Like, you're the ones that have to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once that legislation was put in place, overnight, like all these places
you saw a bunch of like checkout, like the point of sale terminals all switched over to chip terminals, because all of a sudden, like I don't want to be
and that's setting a security standard to begin with, not, you know, oh, they got stolen, you're responsible.
Well,
it's you don't have this like security feature in, and then it got stolen.
I compare it to kind of like the auto industry and how, you know, we have certain rules like inclusion of seatbelts, airbags. These are all perks and features, and the government turned them into mandates. And like, there should be some sort of security best practice mandate that all companies should respect, right?
Well, unfortunately, you have to kind of learn the hard way in a lot of these things, though.
Well,
and
also,
it wasn't until people started dying in car accidents that they said you should probably have seatbelts and airbags. And it's not until somebody's entire fortune gets liquidated out of the bank that somebody can say, maybe we should actually start putting up some walls around Facebook.
Well, and the thing of it is, and this is just me being skeptical, is companies hate regulations, and they've got lots and lots of lobbyists, and that's why this process is so slow, right? That's why having regulation like this is tough to pull off, since they've got, you know, very deep pockets. They're arguing against it all the time.
Oh, America.
Making it great.
Well, we're working on it. Slowly but surely.
Making it better, hopefully, one day.
It's collective effort-ish, kind of.
I think America's a great country. I don't know what you guys are talking
Do we
about.
have...
I love the USA.
I do too. Just want to reaffirm that as well. Any questions, Brian?
There is a thought on the table from Karen Jones that says mobile devices should replace credit cards, to be honest.
Oh.
Now, I don't know how I feel about that. Now, I'm completely torn.
What
Karen,
if your mobile device goes dead?
That's my biggest problem,
Also,
because I kill batteries like they're going out of style.
Also, if I'm at a bar, how do I keep my bill on tab? Do I give them my phone?
Ooh.
They would probably just get my account information.
There's got to be like a QR system that you can put in place that they just beep beep and it's done.
And It's a good point. I mean, the reason why Apple Pay, it's why Apple was so late to mobile payments was because they were waiting for the chip technology, that kind of encryption to make. So it is actually as, or if not more secure than a credit card. But,
Totally.
But yeah, there are some practical limitations for just switching wholesale to just your phone.
You're trading convenience for convenience because, yeah, it's less crap in your pocket, but it's one more thing to still maintain and consider. Like, if you get rid of your wallet, great. Now you're carrying a battery.
I'm
Yeah.
already carrying a battery, though.
Truth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm totally torn on that one until they actually until they improve the performance and longevity of a mobile device. I'm not entirely on
that's
board
a
with
real
the payment.
tech breakthrough I want to see is in batteries. Battery tech, man.
You and everyone else.
Longer lasting batteries.
Yeah, but the longer they milk the crap batteries, the more likely you are to keep replacing them.
That's true. Yeah.
So
We should just be able to convert ourselves into batteries, like the Matrix.
yeah.
I want to
Sure.
become a battery.
all right.
Those are some low aspirations for you, man.
Here we go. Here's a question from Watson. Do you guys think a challenge may be implementing security regulations? Presumably, it depends on the company. Small business website wouldn't need to have a high security of a Yahoo, for instance. Yeah, that's definitely the case, but where, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
As far as the security concerns go, we still don't know exactly where all the fault lines are to
Right.
even address that.
Yeah, and especially for small businesses, security is like very hard for them to handle. And
Yeah.
in the past, something like ransomware wouldn't be that much of an issue just because we really only have like one computer anyway. But now it's getting to a point where ransomware, basically, like a small business, like their whole like operations could be on a computer, and like if that goes down, it's kind of like
So they would pay the
they're
ransomware.
like losing a lot of money on it.
Sure. I mean, I think it's tough because, particularly for small businesses, because they don't have necessarily the resources to defend against this stuff, right?
Yeah,
Or
Yeah.
the savvy, right?
Yeah.
Some mom and pop shop's not gonna.
But yeah,
particularly know about
Yahoo and Equifax had brought up an interesting point where, so yesterday Congress is basically asking, what should like Congress do to prevent these kind of breaches in the future and things like that.
Yep.
And instead of, saying, oh, there should be legislation to, require security standards or anything like that, they kind of went with, we should work together to find the criminals, like after the fact. Okay, maybe don't get hacked in the
It
first place.
sounded a lot like what Facebook, Google, and Twitter said.
Yeah,
with,
it's almost-
what they're hearing. Like, no, not regulations. We should all just work together.
Yeah.
There should be more kumbaya moments, really.
Yeah, it's almost
Which is like, I feel like it's the easy out for these
Yep.
guys to talk about, right? Because they don't want to bring up regulation.
No.
They definitely don't want to bring up regulation. So they're going to talk about, working together, cooperation. Those are all good words.
they're all BFFs.
Yeah. They're all
When we're not screwing
positive
up.
sounding words. So, be constructive.
Send us your social security numbers and we'll protect it if it gets posted.
And
online.
and
We'll turn it into a line of code.
and nudes.
And yeah,
We will.
send them along together, really.
That's what we call
I
social
mean, if
suicide,
you
folks.
think about it, though, that was kind of Equifax's, operations where it was they had your social security number without your permission, and if like they
Right.
did like credit monitoring,
Yep.
where if it was used somewhere else, they'd warn you.
Right.
So just take that into note, Facebook. Sometimes that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it all starts here with Alfred calling out Facebook. This is where the change begins.
What are you talking about?
All right.
The revolution begins with one person,
The revolution begins with Alfred.
just Alfred.
I'm just mad about things.
Yes, you are, sir.
As a true millennial should be.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, we are just about out of time. And I think it's a good place for us to end on a revolutionary,
And end the
uplifting
week.
end note
Yeah.
for the week. Yeah.
Change.
Enjoy your Veterans Day.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. I know.
A salute to all of our troops and veterans, and
Yeah.
our heartfelt appreciation from CBS Interactive, CNET, and CBS at large. Thank you to all of you out there risking your necks for our sorry butts sitting here in the purple room.
Thank you very much.
See ya.
All right. To wrap things up,
Take us home,
been
Roger.
a good week. If you liked
Yes.
anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is also available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Feedburner, and Google Play Music. See y'all next week.
See ya.
See you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye, all.